Hey guys, so I just got done finally watching The High Note. I know this is a movie that's been out for fucking long time. I'm finally getting around to watching it. I think it's even on HBO now, so if you want to watch it, go watch it on HBO. Like I said, been trying to catch up on like everything I've missed, and there's a shitload of movies I gotta catch up on. And in the midst of that, trying to work, my job at the same time. Like, so I'm like watching movies in bits pretty much right now. It's like a fucking chaos. Like right now, trying to catch up on movies, trying to catch up on TV shows, trying to work. That which takes up a majority of my time. But yeah, I've been pretty busy man. So as far as like the high note, like what my expectations going into it were, I didn't really have much expectations. It was a movie that before it came out, I had no idea it was a movie existed. I remember like when it was coming out on demand and or premium on demand in like this past May. I remember getting commercials nonstop for it. I'm like, what the fuck is the high note? And I was like, it's some movie that's starring Dakota Johnson and that girl from Blackish, uh, Diana Ross's daughter, in a musical comedy drama esque movie. I'm like, all right, whatever. I didn't really get too much of the plot. I actually did finally get around to watching the trailer a couple days ago, and I was like, it looks all right. It looks fine. It looks like something that might not be my cup of tea, but I've seen plenty of movies that are not my cup of tea, but I've been enjoying them. I'll be honest. It was forgettable. It was very fucking forgettable. I will probably forget this movie. I even saw this movie probably within a week's time. It's not bad. It's not very good either. It has problems. I have some problems with the movie. Honestly, going for most of the movie, I thought, man, I'm not gonna have much to talk about with this movie. But then as the movie kept going, I'm like, all right, I got some stuff things to talk about, but it's not very good. It's just there. It's forgettable. It's a cookie cutter movie that you've seen a million times done before in a lot better movies. Like the movie that for a good chunk of the first half of this movie, I thought, oh, this is like a new Wears Prada, where it's Dakota Johnson. You know the story. She's is an assistant to the girl from Blackish is or Diana Ross's daughter's. She's the character. She's an assistant to Diana Ross's daughter's character, and she was an aspiring. She wants to be a aspiring record producer herself, music producer herself, and she inspires to be one. And she's also inspired by the Diana Ross's daughter. That's like her childhood hero, and she like it. I'm sitting there like, this is basically the Devil Wears Prada, and that like at first like this character is kind of an asshole to her. Like you're like, oh god, this is like trying to be a Meryl Streep-esque character from Devil Wears Prada. It was reminding me a lot of that at first, but then like as the movie started going, I'm like, okay, she's got more, a little bit more nicer and not as obnoxious or well, not as mean as Meryl Streep's character. So okay, it's not exactly that, but it has a lot of the same beats as a movie like that does. Like I said, it's got a character who wants to be more than she is not really recognized by her boss for what she is, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. And then it's a movie that's been done a million times before. I've seen it done a million times. Like nothing was very unpredictable about it. Uh, that's one of the biggest problems. You can see pretty much everything about this movie coming a mile away. There's the love interest that she has, who obviously there's going to be moments where Diana Ross's daughter is going to be demanding, and she's going to demand her to do stuff, and she's going to miss out on her boyfriend's time with her boyfriend or stuff like that. And there's going to be conflicts. And then there's also the subplot where her boyfriend wants to be a musician and she pretends to be a fucking producer even though she isn't a producer, and somehow even gets a recording studio, is which I you could probably explain it. It could be explained a little bit, and he makes him believe that she's a record producer or a music producer this whole fucking time. In one of those cases, like, all you have to do is just fucking explain yourself. It's not very fucking hard, and obviously it's one of those, eventually he finds out and he's kind of fucking pissed, and like, I kind of would be too, and it's like one of those, this movie could one of those issues that could be resolved in fucking 2 minutes, but nobody acts like normal fucking people in these kinds of movies ever. And so obviously it ends up in the fucking third act breakup, yada yada yada. You've seen these movies 100 times before. Everything is fucking just, I could see coming a mile away. It's no fucking doubt. One thing that did drive me nuts was the relationship was the relationship between Dakota Johnson and Diana Ross's daughter, who she, like, at first they're kind of like friends, and then they're not friends, and then there are friends. Like, it'll go scene from scene, it'll be like, the relationship's different from scene to scene. Like, it's not very consistent. Like, especially halfway, like, through the movie, when at first, like, Diana Ross's daughter discovers Dakota Johnson has been, like, mixing her songs and kind of trying to produce some of her songs together, or putting her songs together and producing them. And at first she is kind of hesitant, but then ends up saying, okay, we'll go with your version of the song, and then, like, they're buddy and everything else like that. But then the next scene, she's being a bitch to her, and I'm like, okay, what the fuck? Like, and I'm like, it really drives me nuts. It's like, there's parts of this movie that drives me nuts. It's like, you can't decide whether they're friends or not, or they're in one scene they're friends, one scene they're not. It's like, it was driving me up the wall. One character I did like in this movie was Ice Cube, because he was putting Dakota Johnson in her place a lot of times. Like, he's like, listen, let me do my fucking job. Like, she's trying to tell him how to do her job, his job. I'm like, yeah, you can't do that nowadays. What the fuck? And like, but his he's Ice Cube being a music producer, and he's pretty goddamn funny. I'm pretty much assuming, like, this is Ice Cube just being Ice Cube, and he's always pretty goddamn entertaining, and he's really good in this movie. There's fucking random cameos in this movie that just come out of nowhere. That, like, serve no fucking purpose. Really, you could cut these out easily. Eddie Izzard pops up in this movie out of fucking nowhere as a fellow musician that's gonna be the opener for Diana Ross's party at one point. And I'm like, I was like, when he popped up, I'm like, is that fucking Eddie Izzard? I'm like, yeah, it is. It's Eddie Izzard. Holy shit. I can't remember the last time I've seen some Eddie Izzard in something. And I'm like, I almost forgot that, like, I didn't know until a couple days ago. Apparently he's also a woman now. He looks about the same in this movie that he did fucking back in the 90s. But yeah, apparently he's a woman now, or a transvestite or something. I don't, he still called himself Eddie, so whatever. Good for him, I guess. Like, he, whatever. Bill Pullman's in this movie out of fucking nowhere. He pops up, like, in the last half hour of this movie as Dakota Johnson's dad. I'm like, okay, hi, Bill Pullman. I'm like, I love Bill Pullman. I'm like, but what the hell? That came out of nowhere. Apparently, also, I was looking at the credits. Melanie Griffin is in this movie as her mom. I'm like, where the fuck did that happen? I'm like, I do not remember Melanie Griffin in this movie, but okay. Like, Bill Pullman's character could be cut out in this movie. That is one big part of this movie that just kind of bugged me, was like, this movie felt like it never ended. It's a 2-hour movie, and it, like, did not need to be 2 hours. It went on and on and on. Like, there's multiple points in this movie. It's like, okay, it's coming to an end. It's coming to a conclusion. And then it just kept going and going and going. And I'm like, okay, so this movie's now turning into Return of the King, where it has like 500 different endings. It's never going to end. I'm going to be sitting here forever watching this fucking movie. And then it finally ended. I'm like, ah. Also, they throw this random twist at the end of the movie out of nowhere that comes out of fucking nowhere. Like, it's supposed to be a revelation, but I'm like, I don't think they ever mentioned anything about this, like, once before in this movie, but I'm like, I've been watching this fucking movie. I know I've been watching it bits, but I've been watching this movie and paying attention. I'm like, I don't think they ever mentioned anything about this character and certain things about them. I'm like, that was weird. That really was a random fucking twist that came out of nowhere. It's hard. Like I said, it sounds like I'm saying it's a bad movie. It's not. It's just generic. It's nothing. A nothing movie that, like, it can be generic and nothing and also be not that bad, but it's just there. And like I said, I won't remember this movie probably come a week's time. Wasn't that big a fan of this movie, if you can tell, but it's not that bad. But, I mean, I've seen worse, especially this year. I've seen worse. That's as far as the high note goes. I'm going to be watching Wonder Woman 1984 next. That's the next one I'm going to watch, which I hear everybody's loving, so I can't wait to see. Yeah, that's an exaggeration if you didn't figure it out. I've been staying away as much as I can from reviews and trying not to hear why this movie's been getting badly received, so I'm curious to see what my opinion is and whether I'm going to agree with a lot of the people, a lot of critics. I don't know. We'll see. But until then, I'll talk to you guys later.